All right, today I want to talk to you about two specific things. One, if you're a founder, then how can you get people working with you to perform at your levels or even better? How can you get people to be motivated, have fun, be energized, and to get a lot of things done at your company? And the second one is if you are not a founder and you're working for someone else, how to have more fun at your job while being more productive and getting potentially more chances to get your salary increased, to get promoted. Okay, so this comes from the fact that I've been mentoring and advising a lot of startups and also from my own experience. And very often I see that founders get quite frustrated where they can't understand why is it that their employees are not motivated? Or why is it that their employees are not performing? Well, it's not really rocket science. One, they're employees, therefore they don't have equity and they don't have a huge upside to perform. Two, usually there's a problem with goal setting and how to do that. We can do a video on that later on as well. But most of all, it is about the fact that one crucial element is not understood by both founders and employees that is missing in understanding why that is happening. And in my opinion, that crucial element is understanding who takes responsibility and why, and how responsibility is being given or taken by people. For example, right, if I am running a company and I want somebody to do sales and to do it well, right, the standard approach is, well, look, here are your targets, you must achieve them. Every week, you must call 124 customers and write 32 emails, have 5 meetings, and then that is your goal and you must do it, right? This is when you are giving out responsibility to someone else and you're not really asking for consent on their part whether they have taken responsibility, right? So an improvement would be to, set these goals together, but even better would be to let the other person take responsibility fully. For example, at Earthians, in our organization, what we are trying to do is to create a system where you would have, instead of tasks, you would have a list of opportunities. And every person in the company can themselves say, you know what, I really want to do this thing. I really want to work on sales, or really want to improve our visuals, or I really want to work on getting people to our Discord server, and I know how to do it, and I'm going to either add a task or opportunity, or I'm going to take an opportunity that already exists. So nobody is telling them what to do, and nobody is forcing them to do it. They are taking responsibility from a pool of opportunities and responsibilities, and they are committing to do it themselves. So inside their mind, they're telling themselves, hey, I, person A, am taking this task and I am responsible for it. Nobody is forcing it upon me. So how can this be used? Well, if you are a founder, and stick around if you're not, then one thing to do is to reverse your thinking and think about your work that you need to be doing from the perspective of the person working for you, or I prefer to be working with people and not for people. And that is already a very important change in your mindset. If you think that people are working with you, how would you act? And then instead of forcing things upon them, figure out a way for them to take responsibility. I already gave you one way to do it, is to rename tasks into opportunities and create a list of opportunities where people can take these opportunities and commit to them themselves. The other one is to share the goals or set the goals together. Also to make sure that people can see what is the benefit for them if they achieve certain things in your company. Very often, most of the time, company might have some goals, but if those goals are achieved, well, what do the people working get out of it? Well, usually they get more work next year because they have met those targets. So next year the targets are going to be higher, and that's about it. Whereas the founders, they might get better valuation of the company. They might even be able to sell some shares and get a mini exit and a secondary investment or something like that. But the people creating the value very often don't get anything, and that's a problem. So these are just some ideas. Feel free to drop into our Discord. I'll be happy to share some more ideas. But now the second part is, what if you are working for someone, right? What if you are not a founder? And what if you are the person that is basically being told what to do? Well, I think there the key is, again, playing around with responsibility. It's one of my most important values in life, is radical personal responsibility. And if you're in a position where somebody's telling you what to do, it is still, I believe, very virtuous and important for you to take action and responsibility for yourself. For example, a lot of people simply take the tasks that are being given to them without questioning them and without introducing any new potential tasks for themselves. So if I am working for someone else, I would be actively thinking about, okay, how can I create my own tasks that I can add on top of or instead of the tasks being given to me by my boss or my organization. So now what you're doing is like, okay, I'm going to take my own responsibility and I'm going to add to the task list that I have. I know this sounds crazy at first, right? To add more tasks to an already, probably a very big task list that you already have. But think about it. If you're going to start adding tasks that you believe in, that you believe that the company will benefit from, and the tasks that you think are going to provide a lot of value to the company, soon enough, and if you're doing it well and you're proving to the company that these tasks are valuable and that you have the capacity to create a really good task that are valuable to the company, soon enough, your tasks will be entirely composed or nearly entirely composed of these kinds of tasks. The ones that you like, the ones that you want to do, the ones that you have come up with, and the ones you've taken responsibility for, and the ones you've set. You basically will become your own boss in the organization. And this might create some friction, right? And some discussions because you'll be fighting against what the organization wants versus what you believe the organization should have or must have. And then one of three things will usually happen. I've done this before. I've coached people to have that transition or helped big corporations to create these internal entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs. And one of three things usually happens, right? One, these people get promoted, right? So they are more active and they are showing that the things that they do are very valuable and they're proactive and finding new things to do. Two, they get fired, right? Because they're starting to question things in the organization and they're trying to change things up. And sometimes it depends on the size and the culture of the organization. There might be an internal political conflict or some other conflict and they get fired, right? And I don't think that's a bad thing because usually the third thing that happens is if they get fired or if they are not having fun while doing it, then usually they start their own businesses, right? They become their own entrepreneurs or they find a company which values their now newly discovered zeal for responsibility, which was not present previously. And so I think even like getting fired is a really good thing. I have not been really fired for doing this, but I have lost, for example, very important advisory, not to startups, but to huge organizations, positions when I was super active and forcing things to change, and huge organizations couldn't change. And therefore, they didn't want to work with someone who was pushing them so hard that they had to change. Now, when that happened to me, it opened up so many doors, right? Because, for example, in one specific case, I can't name the organization, when this happened to me, there were people who saw my zeal and they actually invited me to other things that I was working for a very long time, which was very helpful. So I think it's very important to do that because you're true to yourself, you're not hiding anything, you're taking responsibility, and I frankly think it's just a lot more fun. And also, if you're working for somebody, it gives you negotiation power for your salary, for example. Because what a lot of people do, well, not wrong, but it's the normal thing to do, is when they want the salary to be increased, they go like, well, can you just increase my salary? And the negotiation is, well, happening and nothing, the founder doesn't really think that there's any merit to increasing your salary, because even if you come to them and say, well, look, I've been doing all this work and I've been doing it very well, increase my salary. And the founder thinks, well, that's why I hired you, to do the work, right? And you're just doing the work that you're being hired to do. And it would be strange if you did that work poorly because you were hired to do it well. So why would I pay you more? Well, the key to get paid more is to add more value. And one way to do that is exactly what I've been trying to say in this particular video, is to create a system where you're taking responsibility and creating tasks which you are choosing and which might be more valuable to the organization. And then you can say, hey, look, I didn't only do the things you asked me to do, I did things that you didn't ask me to do. And because of that, I believe I'm adding a lot more value to the organization, and I'm actually doing not just the job I originally signed out for, but something extra. And that something extra is valuable, don't you think? And what are we going to pay me for this valuable extra that I'm creating for your organization, the value you didn't know or didn't expect you're going to get when you hire me? This value also has a monetary compensation that can be attached to it, don't you think? And that becomes a much stronger position for argumentation. Again, in summary, I think taking responsibility is always beneficial, also in private life. But again, as a founder, it helps your employees, or rather, in Earthians, we don't believe in this concept of employees, but people working with you, it gives them a feeling that they have full control of what they're working on. You don't need to micromanage them. People become more responsible. People do things themselves. And if you tie your whole package together with goal setting and rewards correctly, they basically become like a micro entrepreneurs in your organization. And two, if you are working for someone else, it gives you this superpower to really be in full control of your life, because you will not only be the person controlling all the tasks basically that you're doing, but also have the opportunity to ask more for it, get promoted, or maybe you'll come up with an idea to start your own business. Again, this is just a quick video on this. I hope you enjoyed it. Compared to the last one, I dimmed down the music and I got the microphone to a more correct location, so hopefully the sound coming through is better. I'm doing this because I love talking to people, and therefore I really ask you to come to our Discord server, ask more questions, right? From me, from the others, and I really want to give back, and I think you will get a lot more value if you share your specific life situation, or even if you disagree and we can have an argument or a discussion of where this might be going, right? So please come to the Discord server, have fun, let's talk. I really want to help everybody I interact with, so I hope to see you there. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Ta-ta.